I think anarchy as a Catholic worker lives it out, or Christian anarchy, as Dorothy would always say, means something probably closer to personalism. In other words, it means having a society with minimal government interference, because it's government interference that encourages the sort of paternalism and the hierarchical passing the buck up, you know, well, I had to do this because the government said I had to do it. That encourages the kinds of things like Hiroshimas and Holocausts, where you're always obeying orders instead of taking personal responsibility. And so Catholic workers are kind of determinately anti-hierarchical.
Dorothy was really a strong believer in decentralism and personal responsibility. She never tried to dominate the movement. We were all autonomous. We all raised our own money. And what's more, Dorothy gave us money.
We were sort of operating under what was called personalism, or personal responsibility, which Peter Maurin, our French hobo philosopher and guru of the movement, had picked up from Emmanuel Mounier, a French intellectual editor of Esprit, a French magazine. And according to this, as translated by Peter from Mounier, personal responsibility and personalism meant that you never told anybody to do something in a community like that, you know, or even asked them necessarily. You did it yourself, and your good example, you see, would just convert them to do the same or not to do whatever you didn't want to do. You did it or you didn't do it, and your personal example would just inevitably flow over into other person's conduct. The unfortunate part was that it didn't. in practical life, these guys off the Bowery just didn't take to it too very much.
But this personalism, this taking people at their face value, has problems too, because people sometimes take advantage of you. I don't know whether Jesus ever said anything about only giving soup to the worthy poor. But an awful lot of people and an awful lot of our supporters say, we only want to give to good people. We don't want to give anything to people that aren't good, or people that are drunks, or people who have problems with drugs, or people who are promiscuous. And we only want to give to good people.
Long before she became a Catholic, back in 1917, when she was still in the socialist movement and with the communists, she picketed the White House with the women's suffragette movement to get the vote for women. Women didn't get the vote in this country until 1920. And she picketed the White House and was imprisoned. One of the more vivid and interesting experiences that is contained in her autobiography is this experience in jail as a result of that. And yet, in spite of that, she never voted. Never voted. And she almost discouraged people from voting. In other words, there was such a tremendous emphasis on personal responsibility, our responsibility personally to help the poor, that she overlooked the necessity, in my opinion, of the government picking up where private charity or personal charity fails. And personal charity and private charity have sensationally failed, particularly under our capitalist system.
Personalism puts the responsibility on the person, and the person has the sense of autonomy and freedom and responsibility. We tend to forget that responsibility comes. We talk about rights a lot, you know. I have a right to this, I have a right to that, my rights. But what about my responsibilities also? That has to go with it. And that is the essence, I think, of Dorothy and Peter's teaching and their example.